Hello, we are with shadchan Miriam Younger, who is an amazing shadchan who has made many matches in the Jewish world just by thinking out of the box and creatively. If you're not familiar with the Shidduch system, it is the Jewish matchmaking system. And we are going to be talking about how the Shidduch system is broken and how we can fix it. So with that being said, Miriam, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. Yes, I am kind of recent to the system. I come from a very strong sales and marketing background, and I kind of fell into it accidentally. I actually set up a shotgun. That's what happened. And they recommended that I become a volunteer connector on Value at Sinai. And I did, and I loved it. And I started to learn more and more about the way the system is working. I was also making some matches. People started to contact me and wanted me to work with them. And I saw that there were some issues going on. There were issues regarding different chats. People wanted to be seen, and people were posting their friends. Shopkins were posting singles. The chats were initially made so everybody, of course, could, find singles to put together. Mothers were posting as well. And what happened is just all of a sudden, resumes were going all over the internet. People initially told me to post when I first started. And I did. I was posting some of my singles because I was hoping, to find them a match. And what I found is they were not calling me when I was posting girls. They were posting or calling me when I would post a boy. And then I realized kind of what was happening from my sales and marketing background. What happened is the more people who posted, the more posting that occurred for girls, it was almost as if we were clearancing out the girls. The boys were getting 10, 20, 30, 40 resumes. They may not have been accurate at all. Matter of fact, 99% of them are not, appropriate matches at all. But it also gives the boy a false sense that, oh, look at, he doesn't really have to do anything. He's getting stacks and stacks of resumes. And so all of a sudden the boys aren't even they don't have to make much effort. Now, the problem with that is that the boys are going out with lots of girls. It kind of becomes a beauty contest. They pick this girl because maybe she's the prettiest or whatever, and they go out, and it wasn't for them. Then they go on to the next and the next and the next, and the guys get burnt out because they're not finding what they're looking for either. And this becomes a cyclical mess. More panicked mothers, more panicked friends, more shotguns continue to send out resumes, post girls. And again, the boy stacks of resumes go up, and it's a problem.
Yeah, I hear that, of just kind of like devaluing women by having so many people post and then not really having each woman be seen for who she is.
The issue is exactly that. It's they're not being seen. And you can have, again, if you have a stack of 30 resumes, men tend to just pick the prettiest. I hate to say that, but that's kind of what, and you can have lots of beautiful girls, but it's just like that's how it's being picked. And unfortunately, again, the guys are in trouble too. I have private clients, and my private clients are equally men, 50-50. I've had it as much as 60% men, believe it or not. People were shocked to hear that. But the reality is the system is broken for men because they want to get married too, and they're just not finding because they're going down the wrong way. They're going down the wrong way of looking. And again, then the more panic moms, the more panic shotguns. Everyone's like well-intended, but it's a broken system. Now, I would say that just 5-10 years ago, it wasn't like that probably because the internet has made it so much worse. You used to have to meet with somebody, you had a resume, and you would meet, you would share the resume, and that would be it. Today, at the push of a button, I can send 1,000 resumes out. And that's a big problem. Suddenly, all those resumes are all over the place. It's not personal anymore.
But would you say that the Shidduch system is not that different than just regular dating apps where people can just swipe through a bunch of pictures?
It's better than that. The non-Jewish world has also the same problem today. I've met many incredibly talented 28, 29, 30, 31-year-old and up, beautiful women, 50, 52, 53, divorced, fabulous women, great careers, smart, everything together. They can't meet anybody because it's become completely superficial on the photo.
Yes. So what are you doing differently to have women really be seen for who they are and have men not have this huge array of options and not make a choice?
Well, the option is they are making, I'll tell you. Okay, so first of all, a lot of women think the men have it great because it sounds like they do. But again, they are not finding and they're miserable and they're coming to me. So what do? What I do is I shut down the system. I don't follow it. First of all, I stop posting. I don't post any of my people. And I send men one or maybe two ideas at a time. I will not, in sales, we know that if you send give somebody too many ideas, they are not going to, they'll watch, listen, if someone comes into a store and you give them 40 options, they get overwhelmed and they can't think, but they leave. You give someone 1, 2 options, then suddenly they can think about it and a person can be seen. You can talk to them about their care. What I do personally is I'm like a headhunter / personal marketer for a single. But when I work like on Saw You at Sinai, I try to really take the time to read through each profile and then I call every man that I'm going to make the match with. I don't randomly send matches, and that's really what we have to do is you have to find a shopper who's going to take the time to read your profile and get on the phone, because they can't just be reading. They have to know you. They have to know the guy. And I would say probably 80% of matches made are with people who've never talked to both parties.
That's true. So, yeah.
If you don't know who you're matching, how would you know anything about them? I've had a lot of shopkins get mad at me because I would not match people, because I won't match unless I talk to the other person. They didn't want to give me whatever. It's difficult because everyone's trying to protect their singles too from being overwhelmed with random calls and everything. And you want to protect everyone's privacy, but again, the posting is a disaster in my opinion. I think it's really bad for women. I think it's bad for men. I think it doesn't work. And then you'll hear somebody say, well, I know this person got married off of this. It's kind of like Vegas, I think. You hear about the winners in Vegas, but you don't hear about the losers. And most people are losers in Vegas. You know what I mean?
Sure. So what do you think your like batting average, you could say, is compared to Vegas?
Oh, I do, thank God, Baruch Hashem. First of all, I want everyone to know Hashem makes the shidduch. It is for sure. It's a miracle, when you see these things happen. But I do my hashkafa and I really make the effort to call everybody, get to know them, to talk to them. And, they say people who work hard get lucky. So.
Yeah. And it sounds like you work really hard. Tell us a little bit about your process.
Well, I work extremely hard. I work 65 to 70 hours a week, which is a little obsessive. I happen to love what I'm doing, which is like an amazing thing when you get to do what you love. And, I take on a lot of challenging, listen, again, it's all about a single being seen. And there are a lot of people who are not seen. Let's say, you're an average person. And when I say average, I'm talking about, sorry about that, I hit my camera. You're an average person, you're attractive, but you're not a Barbie doll. And you're a nice job. Those people are not necessarily on the top of the resume stacks that are going out, and they may not even get their resume read. So it's very difficult. The same with the swiping. It's no different. If you're an average person, people are going swipe, swipe, swipe. They're looking like for beauty queen Barbie. It's so superficial. If you met someone, my advice to most people, my private shadchaning is very expensive. It's very labor intensive. It's like hiring a private salesperson, marketing person to market, you. I happen to think Sayuat Sinai is a really good value. Your shadchan there is the one who can make or break it. If you have a good shadchan, you're in really good shape. They happen to have a wonderful database. Every system is imperfect, but it's one good way, to get your name out there.
Could you speak for a second about that, about how to make sure you have a good shadchan on Sayuat Sinai?
Well, let me tell you, there's a lot of fantastic shadchans right there. Excuse me again.
Sure, go for it.
The shadchans, we're volunteers. Usually on the site, we're volunteers. Mm-hmm. Okay? We're required to put a certain amount of hours in every week. And we have obviously lots of singles. Every shadchan schedule is different. Someone could have big family, someone, you know what I'm saying? Everybody works differently. So if you're not, this is something you can consult, you can email your shadchan and talk to them and see if you can get, this is something kind of individual that you're going to have to, you're always able to request a different shadchan if you're not happy with the job that they're doing. Basically you want to make sure, you can ask them, will you make sure to read my profile and to make sure that you try to match me with an appropriate match. Listen, it's tricky. It's very tricky because, again, you're dealing with volunteers as well. Some of the volunteers are absolutely outstanding. It's, you have to try and hope that you get the right one. And if it's not a fit, you find the one. You have to keep working to make sure it's a good fit.
That's such excellent advice because, I think we just kind of get a shadchan assigned to us and we don't really think about, are they really working on our behalf or not? So it's great to.
They all want to.
Yeah.
They all want to.
Of course.
And again, it's like anything.
Right.
I happen to be an empty nester kind of. My son is home right now online because of COVID, but I have the time that I had. Now that I'm doing private, I don't have as much time because I'm doing coaching as well, but different type of coaching than you're doing. Mm. I imagine, I see you as someone who really works on the whole person. Mine, is that correct? Would you say you're like, it's more like in a feeling good?
Well, I'm a dating coach, but I'm also a life coach. So I'm really trained to help people see their whole vision for their whole life and what, really motivates them and gives them passion and drives them. So I do a lot, and aside from the actual dating coaching, but it sounds like you're targeting really the dating. Had said to me kind of like,
and I'm not trained.
Okay.
I'm a trained shadchan. They did train us there, but I'm not talking about that kind of coaching. My kind of coaching is truly like within the dating process coaching.
Yeah.
That I help with the guy and the girl, and I have no official, I'm not a psychologist professional or anything like that. I always refer them to you for any kind of that kind of thing. But I do try to be there for everybody, and and questions regarding dating along the way, and it's really helpful. It is really, really helpful. But I want to just say, because not everyone can afford. I wanted to get back to like the Sayuat Sinai. I think that's an amazing way. I'm not on commission, but I do really believe in the site. It's, I've seen it. I've made matches on it that people got married. So it works. I would say that if singles can recruit their married friends, and if married friends could understand how critical they are in helping their, in solving this problem by inviting singles to the Shabbos table, maybe doing sheva brachot. People are getting married now, maybe single friends instead of a bridal shower. Someone suggested this the other day. Maybe they can do sheva brachot and have lots of singles there. That would be a fantastic way, because the power of meeting someone organically is, and people, again, being seen as a whole person, not just a lousy piece of paper. Because this drives me crazy how many people decline because of a superficial photo. When I work with private clients, I get really high success rate on the yeses because I'm able to tell them about the person. That's the thing. But not everyone can afford that, but they have friends that can do it for them. They have, neighbors who can tell them. So it's really important, for everyone, the community, to get involved with trying to have events where singles can get together. Again, whether it be charitable events, you could have charity events with lots of singles doing it. Whatever possible. I know COVID makes it miserable, but hopefully we're going to get past this part. But the more events that the community can host where singles are involved, to be seen organically instead of having to use a paper method. Or, listen, I'm a shadchan, but I'd love to not be in business. You know what I'm saying? It really would be great if everyone could meet in a more natural way.
So are we doing ourselves a disservice as women by posting all our profiles on sites, on Facebook groups? There's all these Facebook groups where people are just posting all their own for themselves, on behalf of themselves. And are we doing ourselves a disservice? Are we kind of, giving guys this illusion that there's so many, wonderful girls out there, or women? And
there are. The truth is there are so many wonderful girls, but there's wonderful men there too. Mm-hmm. The answer to your question is, I hate to even do this because I know how many enemies I'll make from this, but I think it's really wrong, bad. And I did it in the beginning myself. When I started, because I was told this is what we do. I think it's really, really harmful, because it becomes also, again, the beauty contest. I've seen some sites that have gotten some weddings. They're well-known sites. They'll post, hi, on this, I'm, doing this, and they get a bunch of likes. And then, it's a self-esteem bummer too. What happens if you're a regular person, you put up and you don't get as many likes, and then I just feel like it's so, I don't know. You put yourself out there. I'm all about putting yourself out there, very much so. You have to. Matter of fact, I think I contacted you initially because I was very impressed with the post you made about really being brave and getting out there. But yeah. I don't know if I would say it's publicly posting myself and all my information, because it almost feels, and I understand how it just feels, it feels a little bit like we want to meet. People want to meet. It's normal. It's healthy. You want to be in a relationship. And right now it's almost impossible to meet. So how do you do it? I just feel that the posting, it's too public. And I feel like, again, you can be contacted by a lot of wrong people. And then, of course, you're going to have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever. You get some marriages out of it too. So, but the question is this: for those few marriages, for the thousands of posts, was it worth it?
I guess it's a balance.
People who got married, maybe.
Right. Yeah. Because I hear what you're saying about meeting organically. And I love that, because women do want to be seen for who they are and not judged based on their appearance. I hear that. But you
men
also,
too, by the way, men too. I'm here to speak for the men also. I know a lot of people are like, there's an impression that the women are the only ones hurting. And I want you to know, I'm really serious about this. When the men come to me, and of my private clients, all good looking, all great jobs, really great guys, They're hurting too. The system is broken. That's how I knew this was broken, because everyone's having a hard time. Everyone's having that. I mean, yeah, you see a few people. If you're married like at, you're at like Stern or YU or something like this, you're 19, 20, 21, 22, it's really so much easier to meet. It's just so much easier to meet. Once you leave, it becomes a lot more difficult.
So I'm wondering, for those of us who live, quote unquote, out of town and are in remote places where it's not so easy to meet other people organically, how can we do this? I mean, isn't the internet kind of a great tool to leverage to meet people in all parts of the world that we wouldn't normally have met?
I would say absolutely yes, because I've made Zoom. I had one couple dating for 4 months and they're getting married in just a couple of weeks. I had another couple, he was out of the country and they Zoomed for like several months. They hadn't met once, but they Zoomed for several months in between because the whole COVID thing. And so, yes, it is, but it's how that you meet.
Right.
How do you meet? Again, I think I shared this story, but I'll share it with your audience as well. And it's a story I like to share with a lot of people. So in my marketing days, I had a project where we had helmets, bike helmets, and we had white helmets, blue helmets, and red helmets. And for some reason, nobody wanted the white helmets. Okay. And the helmets are identical. So what, do most people do when you can't get rid of something? They start clearancing it out. And they're like, please take these helmets. Please take this. It's half price. It's, whatever. They kept going down, whatever. I came in and I was watching this happen and I said, no, we got to stop this. These are the same helmets. We have a blue helmet, we have a red helmet. And I said, we have a decorate it yourself helmet. And guess which helmet sold or, went first?
The decorate it yourself helmets. Yeah.
And I feel this is what it is with the marketing with the women. I hate to use that word marketing because that's almost what it is. It's the more desperate feeling, the more frantic posting, the more whatever. What happens is I feel like they're getting clearanced out, like the white helmets. And no, these women are quality. The men are quality too. It's all in the way things are perceived. And so I've seen this again. This is not just the Jewish world. This is a big problem that's happening. And I think it's the invent of the internet. At push a button, you can be seen and liked. Every time. Just my daughter is a neuroscience major, and I was a neuroscience major. I remember her telling me about it. She said, "You know why they're posting, Mom?" I was like, they like to get the likes. She says they get a dopamine hit every time you get a like. And
yeah,
you know what? It's true. I think sometimes people feeling bad, they post. Sometimes, the more they post, even whatever more sexy picture, whatever. They're getting likes, they're getting little dopamine hits. My whole goal is to get marriages. We want people married. And that's my goal.
right.
That's your goal too.
Of course, yeah. I just want to help people in the best possible way. And I tell people, put yourself out there, don't be afraid. And now I'm wondering, is it actually doing them a disservice to keep this putting themselves out there in that way?
No, we want you. That's solid, beautiful advice. But I would say not with the posting. Not with the posting. We need them to get out there to go to events. I've actually been talking with some people about doing events, live events, getting people to understand the importance. If we can get communities to understand, the rabbis, the rebbitzins, everyone in the community, the singles, the marrieds, to understand the critical need for creating a place for singles to meet. We must do it. This can make all the difference. I'm serious. By getting events constantly, have singles to the Shabbos table. If everyone committed to doing that, a few times, a year, let's say, really making the effort, it will make a big difference. It really will. COVID made it miserable for everyone because you couldn't. Although they do say for the introverts, it wasn't so bad.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, because they actually were able to meet people without, listen, extroverts go to parties, they go to, different events. Introverts it's harder for them to get out.
I'm an introvert, and I when you say singles events, my brain goes, oh, no. I would much rather prefer to be set up by a shadchan on a one-on-one date with someone I know is already compatible with me than have to talk to a bunch of random people. To me, that's very draining. And
but you want to know something? I've had Zoom events and we got marriages from them. And I want you to know, honey, that it all depends on who's leading it. And I have to say, I'm very proud of my Zoom events. Those were no charge. And I always try to have something, for my, not private clients, but I always wanted to have something for people that they could join. And it's very important the way it's done. When I have an event, I try to take the stress off because I do use a Myers-Briggs concept. We didn't get a chance to talk much about that, but I get to know my introverted people, and I know it's very exhausting for them, and it's the anxiety, everything. I actually have prepared questions that you can choose from, and they're kind of philosophical questions to ask the person that you're talking to. And it takes the pressure off of what you're going to say. But you can learn a lot about those people from those type of questions. The questions are really kind of deep questions.
I love that. I hope maybe we can get a list of those questions for our listeners.
Yeah, and listen, extroverts don't necessarily need them.
Right.
But lots of times extroverts are supposed to be with more introverted people. They recommend sometimes extroverts and introverts to be with each other. So it might be helpful in the beginning, to make it. And we also, I say we because I have a friend in the community here who helps me with my Zoom events when I used to have them. Anyway, we just found that we said, listen, if you meet someone who's not for you in a breakout room, on a one-on-one, think of somebody for them. Never waste a moment. When you meet a new person and you know that, okay, this person may not be for me, but I'm going to think like a shotgun. Okay? And this is a great way. You'll meet a lot of people, and it will take the pressure off that you're feeling that person's just looking at you as the date. That you can look at person and say, hey, I'm going to think of someone for you.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I for sure, when I date someone and it doesn't work out, if I think this is a quality person, I want to keep them in mind for other people.
That is the best. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, is to write. The men are not as good as this. Most men are not as good, but women tend to be better at it. Really make a list of the people who, they weren't for you. It's fine they weren't for you. Most people aren't for you. The vast majority of people you meet won't be for you.
You only need one.
But if they're nice, write their name down.
Yeah.
And then, refer them to a friend. If everyone does that, that makes a big difference too.
So tell us a little bit about your matchmaking services, because I know you do things differently. And you had mentioned that you give men only one option at a time and that they really trust you. So tell us a little bit about your process.
Well, okay. Well, so that's, some people have a very difficult time and they come, or a stressful time. I have a lot of people who are working crazy hours and they don't have time to keep going out and going out and going out. That's the guys. Girls have a harder time going out because of some of the issues we talked about. So basically, I meet with people and I find out what they're looking for, what their goals are. And I try to, it's kind of like I'm a headhunter that I try to find that person, that hashkafa. It's really can be very tricky, and I spend a lot of hours calling people, speaking with tons of, singles that I know, and then I have to go search for singles I don't know, depending on, what the situation is. The guys have to listen to me because if they don't, it doesn't work. I don't want them accepting ideas while I'm searching for an idea, because if I find somebody who's appropriate and then suddenly they get 20 resumes from someone else and we're back to square one. So, they trust me and I really value their trust. And I've had shopkins get upset with me when they suggested an idea and I said, well, that's not his look. And people got mad at me. They're like, well, we don't, they get mad that the guy has a look. But you know what? I think that everybody has a look and everybody has certain things that they want. And I try to accommodate that. I respect what they're looking for.
So
same
right.
with women.
Right. So
we've some women that want very specific.
Right. We've had a lot of discussion in our group, Women Dating Courageously, about the double standard that men are kind of allowed to ask for specific things, but women is kind of frowned upon if they ask for specific things. What are your thoughts about that in terms of attraction?
Well, that's okay. When people come to me, again, if it's a volunteer thing is one thing. If they're a private client, that's something else. I do see myself that women have lots of things they want too. So I don't know if maybe the look is more what they're talking about, but I've had amazing people that I try to put together and the woman will not go out because of 1 inch of height. So I'm just telling you, I think it's, believe it or not, it's more maybe, listen, men are more maybe visual. I don't want to get a bunch of hate now, but men are more visual. They want a specific, that's what they are attracted to. I'm not here to fight what people are attracted to.
Right.
In Talmud it talks about, I believe, that, you have to be attracted to your spouse. I don't think you could fight with somebody on that. Listen, I have had clients that were very difficult and I told them I won't work with them because I didn't like how picky they were about that. And I don't want to work with people. People who want to get married and are taking it serious, if they can't get past it, they only can have a Barbie doll look, I probably can't help them.
Yeah, I hear you.
I find there's many beautiful girls and, I try to accommodate everybody's what they want, everything, but it's a package. If it's, I'm into much more deep things than just the superficial package. And I found the men I work with really pretty good about it too.
So tell me a little bit about your process. So you speak to the single about what they want. Sorry.
Are we talking when I'm like a volunteer shop? And because I really wear 2 different hats. They're different.
Well, I understand that the private work that you do is expensive, but it's worth it because it seems like you're putting so much effort into it.
I sleep very well at night for what I charge for what I'm doing. I think it's a bargain, of course.
Yeah.
But not everyone can afford it. And that's just like, not everyone can afford a Mercedes or whatever. And not everyone needs to, know what I'm saying?
Of course, yeah.
It's the options you have regarding, listen, a lot of people watching this might even be one of my, maybe some of the people out there already know me because I work with them. I meet lots of great singles when I'm, through my Sinai. I never charge for a match, when I think of somebody great for each other, it's always, I put 100% effort into everybody. It's just the amount of hours that you put into private shopping. It's literally cold calling, finding that person, interviewing, I do reference checking and they still have to do their final reference checking, but I really try to accommodate that. But most important is getting seen. Sometimes people have kids and or I have people who are divorced, or I have people who are, overweight, or I have people who it can be, let's say they are Bali Tshuva and they're having a hard time now because they're more religious and it's hard to find someone for them. It could be anything. It could be, and then there's just regular, let me tell you, how I know this is crazy? this whole thing is, again, we're talking about it being broken, is that I have stunning, beautiful, accomplished men and women that I can't find, and they're coming to me. So
Right.
that's how you know it's broken. Seriously. It never ceases to amaze me.
So
But,
right. So when you approach a single and you say,
I never approach, by the way, unsolicited business ever.
I'm saying your client, when you approach your client and you say, I have a match for you, right? How are you presenting the girl or the guy, the woman or the man, in a way that they really see that person for who they are and are not judging them, based on their looks right away? What are you doing to kind of sell, you could say, or market, that single?
Well, first of all, it starts off by knowing you're single. You have to know you're single. I have to develop a relationship with the single. If I don't have a relationship with the single, I won't know what they'll accept or not accept. I actually have gotten pretty good about knowing what people will accept and what they won't accept. And I am not going to present somebody that's way off from what somebody is asking for. And that in return, they trust me. I have probably with my men, probably a 90% yes rate. So if I come to somebody, the odds are very, very good. They're going to accept. Most of my singles
yes meaning yes
first.
Yes meaning yes to the date.
Yes to the date. Yes
right.
to the date.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my women want me to ask the guy first, but some don't. Some want whatever. They don't want to know if they get rejected, kind of thing. But when I go to one of my guys, I kind of know what they want. I've already got that. I've put that work in. I know what they're looking for. So again, I'm just repeating myself, but I get a pretty good success rate of yeses.
I think that's amazing.
Men aren't overexposed either. I don't have to be sending 100 resumes of girls,
Yeah. That is amazing that you're so proactive and also really attuned to what the single wants.
So. I get to know them. This is why I'm expensive, because it's hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
And I don't make the match. Let's say I have a private client and they're, I don't know anybody for them. That never scares me. That's my job, to find them. Which is like cold calling, and it's hardcore sales. It's like hardcore sales and marketing, really, is what it is.
I love it.
I never thought it would come in handy in shopkins, but that's kind of, I've been able to meet people who don't usually work with shopkins. As a matter of fact, sometimes they hear the term shopkin, they run. Actually, that's a lot. They hear shopkin and they run. But I'm not going to listen. If I don't think it's a good idea for somebody, I'm not going to push a person either.
Right.
I know sometimes people push people. I will push a little bit if I think it's a good idea for the person, but it's a balance. Everything's a balance.
So tell me a little bit about the psychology that you use, because you said something about, kind of like making the guy wait. Let's see if the guy,
well, I just think it's important. I do. My men know this. All my guys who I think everything's upside down.
Right.
And again, some people aren't going to like this when I say this. They may, I'm a little old fashioned. I kind of think the guy has to court. And I think if the guy, this I'm really going to say, again, people may hate this, but if the guy's not in, it's not happening. And it doesn't matter how much I go, oh, she's got great meat out. It doesn't matter. Do I wish things were different? Yeah, I do. I wish things were different. But if the man is not in, it's not happening. So, and I think you can see it pretty early, If the guy isn't, hunting, I always use the term like hunting kind of thing. So you can see it when they're interested. You kind of know your answer, whether or not. I mean, this is my opinion. I'm just giving my opinion, and other people might have different experiences. So I don't want to, and people may have different techniques. I'm just telling you. what I see in
so what?
So I like the guy. It's important. I find a lot of men may really like a girl, but they don't want to look too in now. See, they've been taught, they're like embarrassed to hunt, again, when I use the term hunting, I mean, pursue. And I tell them, this is my advice. I believe the hunters win. So I tell them they should really, and I encourage them to be more proactive. And today I think men have actually, they haven't had to be. And I try to get my guys to be, more proactive when they're interested. And it works. It works when the men show and you can be vulnerable. Listen, you don't always win, but if you don't, try, you won't. That's how I think it's a lot of when I say my coaching, again, different than what your coaching is, but I really work with men to try to be themselves, and women too. Women are also afraid. It's everyone's scared. And one thing, if I can say something to singles, is to know they're not alone. And it stinks for everybody. Dating stinks for everybody, except maybe that 1 or 2%, whatever. But most people, it's not fun. It's exhausting. You have to put yourself out there, and it's draining. And it's, as you get older and maybe you have kids from a divorce or whatever. I mean, that's another show. But, it's very difficult. It's a difficult process, but it only takes one. And when you do meet that right one, it's amazing. So it's a show that everyone should meet. Again, I am very lucky because besides the shidduch that I get to make, since I work with a lot of singles, it kind of sad that I don't always get to make the match. But I get to see the results of another, somebody made a match. And the singles become kind of like my kids too. So I get to celebrate with them. So, I'll get an invitation, or I was thinking, abort or whatever. And I didn't make the match, but I get to be part of the process. And I've seen them struggle, to find the person. And it's just really fabulous when you see it happen. And it happens.
Right.
So it's,
there's
have to have a Amuna.
Amuna, for sure. Yeah. That's faith for those of you who are listening who aren't familiar. So I'm just wondering, as women, what can we be doing differently? Because you're saying that things are kind of turned on its head these days, and some men are afraid to pursue. As women, would you ever encourage a woman to reach out first if they notice a guy that they're interested in?
Okay. Again, I have my way of doing things, and I would not tell other people that their way of doing things is necessarily wrong for them, because we're all individuals, right? Circumstances where men may be very shy types, there could be. That could be. I myself would like the man to be a pursuer, but that doesn't mean I do know some very introverted, fantastic guys that may not make a first move. So in general, I would say I want the guy to pursue. If the guy's not in, it's not happening. So, but maybe for the initial, it's possible if he's an introverted guy.
Okay.
It's some men are really, really shy and just insecure. Sometimes you have a client, singles that are fantastic businessmen, they're top of their game. But when it comes to women, it's harder for them. And I think that confuses people a lot. That you can have someone who's a high power attorney. And believe it or not, when it comes to dating, they're insecure too.
Okay, so let's just wrap up the interview with one final word that you want to say to women about how they can take their power back in the system.
Well, I would say that you have more power than you think you do. Number one is don't clearance yourself out. That would be my number one thing to tell women and mothers and friends and the women themselves. Don't clearance yourself out. Remember the white helmet story. If everyone can walk away from this interview remembering the white helmet story, because if you think that, that feeling like it's not worth something when it's just as valuable as it's all valuable. You have to take your power back by, I would say, not allowing your image and your information being spread all over the internet. I think it's wrong. Like I said, I've been guilty of it myself. When I first started, that's what I was told to do. We've got to stop. It's got to stop. Shouldn't be on all these chats, posting. In my opinion, of course, I know there are very people who are trying to, attempt to get as much, it's Corona, so everyone's trying to be seen. I just don't think it's good for most people. So I personally would stop doing that. I would work with, one trusted shopman or a couple if you know them well, and you know that they're not going to send your information all over. But really take the time to call people and to make those matches for you. We have some excellent shopkins out there. I know some really, really good ones, but I know some really, really bad ones too. So you need to be very, very cautious. And then that original information, what I told you about, we can make a difference by recruiting people to help, introduce singles to each other, make very friends, by being part of it. Put something together. You can put something together, an event, a charity, something where you can recruit singles to help out for the charitable event. People can meet organically. That's the best way, the old-fashioned way. Just meeting naturally, doing something good. When you're doing mitzvahs, you can do mitzvahs together and, something good. And then also thinking of every guy you go out with, or, somebody who's good guy you think of your friend. Think of your friend. I ask every single that I meet, I always say, hey, do you have a friend I always think like that. You got to think like a shopman, because what goes around comes around. So when you think for someone else, I bet, they can be thinking for you too. So that's what I would recommend. Don't give up hope. Have a muna and keep, moving forward. But it is important to put yourself out there. Your advice was very good, just maybe a little differently than posting.
Yeah, maybe more in terms of networking with married friends. And,
again, you can go make meetings with rabbis and rebbitzins of the shuls and say, listen, we want to start an initiative for schools. I think a lot of people would really appreciate it. It will make a difference. It'll make a difference.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure, and I'm happy to answer any questions and, in the future. And it's hard for everybody. Maybe God makes it difficult, so we do only want to do it once.
Some of us are on the second or third time round, but hopefully the last time round.
You know what, though? I have a friend, she had a miserable marriage initially, and her second marriage, she's been married like 40 years. It's wonderful. So, we don't always get to pick our path exactly as it, but again, I have a lot of belief. There's a reason for everything. So.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
You wouldn't have that daughter you have.
Say it again.
You wouldn't have that daughter you have.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I completely believe that everything I've been through was meant to be. And I will say that to any single, that they have a specific path and a specific journey that only they can travel, and God wants them to travel on so that they can fulfill their mission in the world.
Yeah, and I don't think you could do this job if you don't have a lot of amuna, and I see the good results at the end, so it's wonderful.
Excellent. Okay, so we will link in the notes to this interview how to get in touch with you, Miriam. Thank you so much for your time, and let's do this again.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. All right.